Come on in. Welcome to Idled Out, where we talk all things Survivor. My name is Luke, and today we're talking about challenges that Survivor banned because they were too dangerous. There's no question that Survivor's had some truly dangerous challenges over the years. However, only a few challenges have had the distinction of having challenge producers or Jeff Probst himself go on record, either overtly or in thinly veiled comments, to say that these challenges have been retired because they are too dangerous for players to ever play again. They're retired. Gonzo. Kaput. More dead than Jeff Varner's chance to return to the game. So get yourself some dinner, grab your favorite drink, and kick back and relax with some friends as we take a look at the challenges that Survivor banned for being too dangerous. At number 5 is Shoulder the Load, which debuted on screen in Survivor Australia and which was subsequently used in several seasons, most recently Survivor South Pacific. This was a popular team endurance challenge in the show's early years, where typically 3 players from each tribe would hold a pole on their shoulders, and each round members of the opposing tribe would strategically add 20 pounds to a player of their choosing, until only one person remained standing. This was a popular and well-received challenge each time it aired, with players pushing their bodies to insane limits and contorting into bizarre shapes to accommodate the massive amount of weight they're holding. The weight record in this challenge is 240 pounds, held by Jim and Brandon in South Pacific, and you can see every ounce of that weight on their faces right here. Jeff, you better rub out those shoulder kinks for him. The problem with this challenge is, well, do I even have to say? You're having people who are likely untrained in weightlifting, very unsafely holding a massive amount of weight on their shoulders and their spine. And many players who participated in this challenge received injuries, some of them permanent. Notably, Dawn crushed 3 vertebrae in this challenge and had to have a spinal fusion surgery to correct it years later. Unsurprisingly, Survivor production also realized that this challenge is way too dangerous. In a 2018 interview, longtime Survivor challenge producer / guru / god John Kerhofer, who has created and produced every single Survivor challenge since season 1, said that this thing is basically done. Quote, "We don't do that one. That one makes me nervous. I get so much anxiety over just the back strain that it could cause. Some things we do for reward as opposed to immunity, because if it's getting close and you're doing that for immunity, I just wonder if someone is going to push themselves too far. I don't know. Could they fall over and tweak their back? We've done it a few times. It's just one that makes me personally uncomfortable to watch. It's pretty clear to me that at least in its current form, this challenge is done, especially since Survivor is taking the physical health of their players more seriously than ever before. This challenge was always a crowd pleaser, but no players should have to suffer spinal injuries and potentially lifelong mobility issues just for our entertainment. Okay, maybe him. At number 4 is Spit It Out, aka Spin Cycle, aka the Drowning Simulator. I included this challenge in my video on Survivor challenges that are basically just torture, and yep, this thing is straight out of a medieval torture chamber. Can't wait for the Catherine Wheel challenge. In this challenge, 3 members from each tribe are strapped to a large windmill-esque wheel, their heads submerged as the wheel rotates. While underwater, they must gulp up a mouthful of water, then spit it out into a tube when they are rotated to the top. The first team to spit out enough water to release balls or puzzle pieces wins. I would argue that this is the most dangerous challenge of all time. Thankfully, no injuries ever actually occurred on this one, but players are rotated so quickly, it's gulp, then spit, then gulp again with hardly any time to catch their breath. And if the players rotating the wheel aren't careful, they could accidentally stop the wheel while a player is fully or partially submerged and begin drowning them, which literally almost happens to Brenda. Going slow is almost as bad, though. This happened to be the challenge that Zapatera was trying to throw to eliminate Russell, so they're hardly even trying, meaning Julie, Stephanie, and Krista get to enjoy some extra time underwater. Yeah, this one isn't coming back. They did it twice in back-to-back seasons, and it seems it was deemed too unsafe to ever be seen again. This one had Kurhofer sweating. Quote, I aged so much during that challenge, I was so nervous the whole time. We had people on the side, our safety team and our security, but man, I was very concerned with that one. It worked great in Nicaragua and again in Redemption Island, but we've never done it again just because my hair's gray enough. In another interview, supervising producer Chris Milhouse Marchand, who also moonlights as an Applebee's waiter in Survivor 46, said of Spit It Out, I don't think you'll see it again, but I've been proven wrong before. Well, I guess it's nice that they're trying to leave the door open, but I think this one is pretty safely in the no pile. Newer players are good enough at trying to drown themselves as it is. They don't need a challenge to do it for them. At number 3 is Kicking and Screaming, which debuted in Survivor Cook Islands, but later appeared in Survivor Gabon and Survivor Cagayan. Survivors somewhat controversially shied away from intense physical challenges in recent years, and I'd argue that this is one of the most physical of them all, seemingly retired because this one just gets too rough. In this challenge, one member from a tribe wraps their body around a pole, and the 2 members from the opposing tribe have to pull them off. The first tribe to pull the other player off and drag them to a starting mat wins the heat. Kurhofer again. We've also moved kind of away from kicking and screaming, like where somebody's gripped onto a pole and 2 people have to pull them off the pole in any way. These things are cyclical, but it got pretty violent for a while, and it's like, we're not WWE. We like the head-to-head battles, but we don't want to become WWE. I don't think we'll be seeing this one cycling back. I like that they're open to the return of some of the other physical challenges like sumo at sea that take place in or over water, but the common denominator of this and the next 2 banned challenges I'm going to talk about is that they're super physical and on dry land. Kicking and Screaming debuted in the roughest and most brutal era of Survivor challenges, and anytime Jeff has to warn the players not to choke each other, you know the challenge is on borrowed time. Flicka choked Christina, Christina pulled Flicka's hair, clothes were coming off, Paloma got manhandled through the dirt, Alexis acted like my cat trying to avoid getting put in the carrier, and Lindsay got a face full of Morgan. This one never appeared after Cagayan because it simply gets too physical and too nasty, even though it never actually resulted in any serious injuries. Unless you count Ozzy's bruised ego, which I do. At number 2 is Cat and Mouse, seen in Survivor Micronesia. They knew this one was cooked the moment it ended. It never appeared again. In this team challenge, 2 individuals from each tribe are harnessed together, and one pair must chase another through a dangerous obstacle course to catch the opposing pair within 1 minute. You wouldn't think a minute is enough to do a bunch of damage, but this challenge may have the highest injury rate of any in history. Parvati ended up with a fat lip, Amy tweaked her knee, and Chet hit his head back there.
I hit my head. I don't care. I know.
Jonathan also punctured his leg on part of the challenge, which ended with him being medically evacuated from the game days later. It's pretty easy to see why this challenge was so dangerous. A poorly constructed obstacle course with lots of jagged edges for players to ram various parts of their body into, made even worse by tethering players together, allowing for one player to drag another around. Kurhofer is on record saying that this one will never appear again because of the massive amount of injuries it caused. And in general, I think this is probably the most recklessly designed challenge maybe ever. With injury potential so obvious, it's pretty shocking this passed the concept stage. Unlike every other challenge on this list, they learned their lesson the first time, and Cat and Mouse unsurprisingly never returned after Micronesia. Screwing Cirie over, another hallmark of this season, unfortunately did, however. At number 1 is Schmergen Brawl, seen in Survivor Samoa and Survivor Heroes vs. Villains. Back in the day, Survivor loved their physical challenges. seemingly every season from 10 to 20 introduced a brutal new physical challenge, but they've mostly been phased out in the 30s and 40s. Especially this one, the roughest and most physical challenge of all time. In this challenge, 3 players from each tribe are in a pit and must collect balls, get them to their team thrower who is on an elevated platform behind them, and the thrower must then shoot the ball into a basket. In the pit, almost anything goes. This is a challenge seemingly designed to encourage cheap shots, illegal holds, and full contact hits, all over hard-packed dirt littered with rocks. I can't think of a place in Survivor history I'd like to be less than the pit in this challenge. Maybe on Chewy Gone. Both times they did this, they even did heats with mixed genders, which goes exactly as you'd expect it to.
And it worked! Whoa! Stop! Stop! Stop!
Need to do that.
That's what you get for making fun of his All-Stars shelter, Jerry. Both iterations of this challenge saw massive injuries to players. In Survivor Samoa, Mike Barassi, who probably shouldn't have been in this challenge to begin with, collapses and is pulled from the game. And in Heroes vs. Villains, James injures his leg, which later leads to a vote off to put him out of his misery. Undoubtedly, there are many more bruises, cuts, scrapes, and fat lips on everyone who ran this challenge. This challenge got so rough in Samoa that Jeff had to stop it to tell the players to turn down the heat on the cheap shots and chokeholds, which Ben immediately ignored. What a dick. After Schmergenbrawl's second appearance in Heroes vs. Villains, Jeff went on record saying that because of the brutality and back-to-back injuries each time they ran the challenge, it was formally banned, becoming the first challenge in the history of the show to have that distinction. As he wrote in his blog, quote, "This challenge will never be played again. It was officially retired after last night's challenge." Well, I guess Schmergenbrawl was fun while it lasted. At least we'll always have Probst shitting on Ben.
Ben, say that when this game started, you had a 100% chance of winning. Where do you think it's at now?
I got as good a chance as anybody.
You believe, based on how you've acted, that your chances of winning are as good as anybody else left in the game?
Got nothing else for ya. What other old challenges do you think have been permanently retired? Which ones should be? Which ones do you want to see back? Let me know in the comments. Until next time, don't get idled out.